So here's a great example of fantastic forehand technique that you can copy to hit better forehands. Now this video is courtesy of Tennis Academy 101 on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to their awesome channel. I'll put their link in the description below. All right, the first thing is when you take your racket back, take it back with both hands. This is so simple. I'm saying this so often just because it's such like the correct thing to do. Film yourself hitting forehands and make sure that your non-hitting hand is on the throat of the racket. And you can see him do this. He sees the ball come to his forehand. He turns. You can see he gets his chest facing off to the side and his non-hitting hand is still on the throat of the racket. This allows you to coil. And then when you coil, then you're able to uncoil later on in the shot. The next thing is partly, that uncoiling. I want you to watch two things occur at the same time. His non-hitting hand moves out of the way and his racket drops. Watch this. Look at his non-hitting hand move forward as his racket is dropping. This is vital, right? So most recreational players drop the racket, which is good, but not you don't see the vast majority of recreational players making this move with the non-hitting hand. Yes, it's correct that the hips turning are going to bring the racket through to contact. That's correct. But this non-hitting arm moving out of the way is really what facilitates the hip turn. So you want to move this non-hitting arm out of the way to allow the hips to rotate to get the contact to be correct. So make sure, yes, you're taking the racket back with both hands, but you can't just keep the non-hitting hand over here. It has to move back forward again. And you can see that the timing of that is you move the non-hitting hand forward as the racket is dropping. The next idea, and remember, you want to be filming yourself hitting forehand so you can check your technique against what I'm teaching in this video. Look at his racket face. Look how his racket's closed. This is vital to consistent topspin as a recreational player. Yes, some pros close the racket face less and some pros close the racket face more. What I teach and what I ask you to try to copy is like 45 degrees. Have your racket face closed at about 45 degrees. I don't want your racket at this point straight up and down. Basically able to balance a coin on the edge of the racket. When your racket is straight up and down and your strings are facing off to the side, when you swing up to contact, your racket will be wide open and the ball's going to shoot out. So by closing the racket face, it's actually what allows his racket to be square against the back of the ball. We can see here his strings are facing forward as his racket's going like this. So, in fact, I didn't draw that steep enough. So his racket's going up. So he's below the ball, to the ball, and above the ball. So that's adding spin. That's what's making that ball spin over itself for control, right? Top spin will help bring that ball down into the court. The way you get the racket face square against the back of the ball over and over and over again is to be below the ball. So right now he is lower than contact with his racket and his strings are facing down. Now he's swinging up to the ball and his strings are now facing forward, right? So he's going to be brushing this ball. Yes, he's compressing. Yes, he's crushing the ball. Yes, he's, not just spinning it, but he's also hitting it with a lot of power. But he is making that ball spin over top of itself for control. Look at this. Look at his left hand. Just like Leighton Hewitt, just like Novak Djokovic, I've shown you so many players who have their non-hitting hand the same height as head level. When you hit the ball, we talked about this non-hitting hand moving forward. The non-hitting hand moves forward to clear out of the way so the body can rotate. It should stay up. You want the non-hitting hand around head level. You do not want it dropping. When it drops, it can become a counterweight. It makes you want to swing across and not up, as we're seeing Nicholas do here. So make sure that your non-hitting hand is around head level when you're striking the ball. Two more things. I want you to look how high his hand is. This is really good. I love this. So his hitting hand is slightly higher than his head. He's not swinging across as he's hitting this ball. Yes, the racket is going from below his hand to just after contact, the side of his hand to above his hand. And now his racket's actually moving to the left of his hand since he's right-handed. There is a little bit of below to above when it comes to the racket head compared to his hand. That's fine. But notice that his hand is high. This is really the key. You want your hitting hand to get higher than head level on most of your forehands. The depth, the penetration, the speed that comes from this is tremendous. And the last thing, and this is really kind of a hallmark of a neutral stance, is I want you to look at his back foot. his back foot is turned up on the toe, almost like a golfer. And again, that's because the hips turn. So here he's mainly, it's almost in a neutral stance. You could say that it's slightly semi-open. It's semi-open. But he rotates his hips and that back foot turns up on the toe like a golfer. So when you're hitting a neutral stance, if you're just standing still, the back foot turning on the toe is a nice result of the hips turning. Now, don't forget, if you're looking for people in your local area to play against, practice with, and even find a coach who's going to help you with your forehand, use my link in the description, playyourcourt.com/2minute tennis to get 50% off when you join. So as I've mentioned so many times before, please go out and film your forehand. Check to see that you're taking the racket back with both hands. Make sure that as your racket's dropping, that you're clearing your non-hitting arm out of the way, that you're bringing it back forward again. And when you drop, close your racket face, tilt your strings down below contact and prior to contact. You're then going to swing up with confidence as you hit the ball from below contact to above contact. When you're striking the ball, make sure that your non-hitting hand is at head level, just to make sure that it does not hurt your forehand and become a counterweight, making it more difficult to turn your hips. You should be swinging up, get your non-hitting hand to go higher than head level. And when you're using a neutral stance, having the back foot on the toe is a great way to know that you turned your hips. So use these ideas on your forehand, and there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.